The sky above Seoul burned orange as hundreds of metallic pods streaked through the afternoon sky. Office workers paused at windows, pointing at what many thought was a meteor shower. No one panicked at first. Strange lights in the sky weren't reason enough in a world filled with satellites and space junk. That changed when the pods crashed. The first pod landed in Gwanghwamun Plaza, cracking the pavement and sending tourists scrambling. Steam hissed from the metallic egg as its shell split open. Inside, something moved. June stood frozen behind his hot dog cart, watching as a massive limb extended from the pod. It was followed by another, then another, 6 limbs in total, each, ending in curved claws that dug into the concrete. What emerged was unlike anything on Earth, 12 feet tall with glistening armor plates covering a muscular frame. Its head swiveled on a thick neck, 3 eyes scanning the plaza as humans backed away in horror. The creature let out a roar that shattered nearby windows. "Run!" someone shouted, breaking the spell of shocked silence. June abandoned his cart as the beast charged into the crowd. All across the city, similar pods were opening. News helicopters captured footage of the creatures emerging in parks, shopping districts, and residential areas. In his office at the Defense Ministry, Colonel Min watched the live feeds with growing horror. His phone rang non-stop as reports flooded in from across the country. The creatures were appearing worldwide. Tokyo, New York, London, Mumbai, all reporting the same terrifying invaders. "Get me the president," Min ordered his aide, "and contact Dr. Kim at Seoul National. We need her expertise." Dr. Soo Kim was already watching the events unfold on her classroom projector when the call came. Her students huddled around her desk. Their genetics lecture forgotten as the invasion played out on screen. "Those aren't natural organisms," Kim told her students, studying the footage closely. "The symmetry is too perfect. The muscle groups are designed for combat efficiency. Someone made these things." When Colonel Min's call came through, she wasn't surprised. Across Seoul, the military mobilized with remarkable speed. Tanks rolled through downtown streets as fighter jets screamed overhead. But their first engagements proved troubling. Conventional bullets bounced off the creatures' armored hides, and even direct hits from tank shells only angered them. Above Earth, the Braktan command ship orbited silently. Admiral Tull watched holographic displays showing feeds from all major human cities. "Primitive weapons," he noted, as Earth's militaries engaged his warbeasts. "As expected." His second-in-command, Officer Wren, nodded. "The warbeasts should clear major population centers within 2 planetary rotations. Then we can begin landing colonists. 17 systems conquered, and none have offered resistance like these humans," Tull mused, watching footage of humans fighting back with surprising coordination. Still, the outcome is inevitable. Back on Earth, Dr. Kim arrived at the hastily established command center beneath the Defense Ministry. Soldiers rushed about as officers shouted orders. Screens showed battles raging across Seoul as the death toll mounted. "Dr. Kim?" Colonel Min greeted her grimly. "Thank you for coming. Show me everything you have on these creatures," she demanded. Min led her to a secure room where scientists huddled around samples collected from battlefield encounters. Tissue, blood, and a severed claw nearly as long as a human arm. "Our bullets barely penetrate their hide," Min explained. "We've had better luck with flamethrowers and high explosives, but they're learning, adapting to our tactics. It's like they communicate with each other somehow." Kim examined tissue samples under a microscope and gasped. "Their cellular structure, it's like nothing I've seen. These cells have multiple nuclei with what appears to be programmable DNA. Someone engineered these monsters to adapt to whatever environment they encounter." On the streets above, June had joined other civilians grabbing weapons from fallen soldiers. A creature had cornered a group of school children in a subway entrance when June and 5 others attacked it with whatever they could find: pipes, baseball, bats, kitchen knives. The beast swatted 3 men aside like toys, but the distraction allowed others to target its eyes. When one eye was damaged, the creature recoiled long enough for the children to escape. June saw its wound begin healing almost immediately. "We need something stronger," he shouted to the others. A delivery truck driver named Dal had an idea. They lured the beast toward a gas station. When it followed, Dal crashed his fuel truck directly into the pumps. The explosion engulfed the creature in flames hot enough to penetrate its armor. Similar scenes played out across the city as ordinary citizens found creative ways to fight back. Though many died, they bought time for the military to study the invaders and adapt their tactics. In her lab, Dr. Kim made a breakthrough when she noticed something odd about the creature's biology. They're designed to function within specific parameters, she told Colonel Min. Their adaptability has limits. From orbit, Admiral Toll frowned at the casualty reports. The Warbeasts were still winning, but human resistance was stronger than anticipated. 17 planets conquered, and none had fought back with such resourcefulness. Perhaps we should send the second wave now, Officer Wren suggested. Toll shook his head. No. Let the Warbeasts finish their work. These humans will break. Soon enough. But on the screens before him, humans continued to fight, continued to adapt. In Seoul, Dr. Kim began work on a biological agent that might exploit the Warbeasts' genetic weaknesses. Across the planet, humans refused to surrender. The real war had only just begun. Dr. Kim's laboratory buzzed with activity. 5 days had passed since the first pods crashed in Seoul, and she hadn't slept more than 3 hours at a time. The captured warbeast was secured behind thick glass, sedated, but still occasionally twitching its massive limbs. "Captain Lee, come look at this," she called, not looking up from her microscope. Lee approached, his uniform now permanently stained with the greenish blood of the creatures. His right arm was bandaged where one had slashed him during yesterday's battle in Gangnam. "What have you found?" he asked, rubbing his tired eyes. "Their cellular structure is unlike anything I've seen before. It's almost as if—" She adjusted the microscope. "Yes, I'm certain now. Their cells can reorganize themselves to adapt to environmental changes." Park, who had been typing rapidly at a computer terminal, swiveled his chair. "That explains why our weapons became less effective with each encounter. They're learning from injuries and adapting." The door slid open, and Han entered, carrying a damaged piece of alien technology salvaged from a battlefield. The veteran hunter had proven invaluable, his tracking skills helping soldiers locate warbeast nests throughout the city. "The military is losing ground in Busan," Han reported grimly. "These things are getting smarter. They've started setting traps for our patrols." Kim looked up from her work. "Not just smarter, they're physically changing." She motioned for the others to join her at the microscope. "Look at these tissue samples from the first day compared to today. The newer samples show denser muscle fiber and thicker skin. They're evolving to resist our weapons." "How is that possible?" Lee asked. "I believe they share information somehow," Kim said. "When one learns something, they all learn it. It's like they have some kind of collective intelligence." Park nodded excitedly. "I've been studying their brain patterns. There are unusual electromagnetic pulses at regular intervals. I think they're communicating wirelessly, sharing adaptations." "So what do we do?" Han asked, always practical. "If bullets won't stop them and they keep getting stronger, how do we fight back?" Kim turned to the containment cell where the sedated warbeast lay. "We use their adaptability against them," she said quietly. "Every strength can become a weakness." She walked to a whiteboard and began sketching a diagram. "Their cells adapt too quickly without proper regulation. If we can introduce a compound that triggers rapid, uncontrolled adaptation, we could cause them to change so fast they can't stabilize," Park finished, eyes widening as he caught on to her idea. "Exactly," Kim said. "Their own biology would effectively tear them apart." Captain Lee frowned. "How do we develop something like that?" "We already have the base compound," Kim explained, pointing to a formula on the board. "It's a modified version of a drug we were developing before the invasion to treat aggressive cancers. We need to reconfigure it to target their specific cellular structure." For the first time in days, a flicker of hope appeared in Lee's eyes. "How long would that take?" "With proper equipment? 2 days, maybe 3. "We don't have proper equipment," Han reminded them, "and we don't have 3 days. The military says the creatures are massing for a major assault on what's left of our defenses." Kim thought for a moment. "There's a pharmaceutical lab at Yonsei University that might have what we need. It's in Warbeast territory now, but if we could get there—" "I'll take a team," Lee volunteered immediately. "Just tell us what to look for." "It's too dangerous," Kim protested. Those creatures are everywhere, which is exactly why we need this to work, Lee countered. We're losing this war, Dr. Kim. If your idea can stop them, it's worth the risk. From the observation window of their lab, they could see smoke rising from downtown Seoul. The distant sound of explosions punctuated their conversation. The Braktan ship still hovered in the sky, dark silhouettes against the setting sun. I'll go with the captain, Han offered. I can track Warbeast movements, find us a safe path. Park raised his hand. You'll need me too. I know the lab layout and can identify the equipment we need. Kim looked at them, these three men willing to risk everything on her theory. Then I'm coming too, she said firmly. This is my project. I need to oversee the compound synthesis. Myself. Captain Lee started to protest, but she cut him off. This isn't open for discussion. Either I go or no one goes. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Toll received concerning reports from his ground troops. The humans are displaying unusual resilience, his second-in-command reported. They're adapting. Their tactics faster than anticipated. They remain primitive, Toll dismissed. Our warbeasts continue to evolve with each engagement. Victory is inevitable. There are reports of humans capturing one of our warbeasts for study, the officer persisted. A research facility in what they call Seoul. Toll's expression darkened. This cannot be allowed. Direct the next wave of warbeasts to target this facility. I want it destroyed before these humans learn anything of value. As night fell over Seoul, Dr. Kim and her team prepared for their dangerous mission. They gathered weapons, communications equipment, and medical supplies. Kim carried a small case containing samples and formulas she would need. The warbeasts are most active at dawn, Han explained as they finalized their plan. We should move tonight while they're still establishing their territories. As they prepared to leave, the building shook violently. Alarms blared throughout. The facility. They're here, someone shouted from the hallway. The creatures have breached the perimeter. Captain Lee grabbed his rifle. They're targeting us specifically. Someone get Dr. Kim's research secured. No time, Kim said, clutching her case. We have to go now. They raced down the emergency stairwell as explosions rocked the building. Above them, they could hear the distinctive roars of multiple warbeasts, tearing through the facility. They know, Park gasped as they ran. Somehow they know what we're planning. Or their masters do, Lee replied grimly. As they emerged into the night, Seoul burned around them. The mission had just become much more dangerous, but also more urgent. If they could reach the university lab, they might still have a chance to develop the one weapon that could save humanity. Behind them, the research facility collapsed in flames, and dozens of warbeasts poured into the streets, hunting for the humans who dared to fight back. Don't forget to use citations if your response includes content from search results. The night air felt heavy as Dr. Kim and her team moved through. The ruins of Seoul. 5 days had passed since they escaped the research facility. The journey to Yonsei University had taken longer than expected. Twice they had hidden for hours as warbeast patrols swept past their position. We're almost there, whispered Han, pointing to a large building with broken windows. The pharmaceutical lab should be on the 3rd floor, Captain Lee nodded, checking his weapon. Park, you and Dr. Kim stay in the middle. Han and I will take point. They crossed the street quickly, keeping to the shadows. Inside the university building, the halls were dark and silent. Papers and personal belongings lay scattered on the floor where people had fled in panic when the invasion began. As they climbed the stairs, Dr. Kim noticed something strange on the walls, claw marks that seemed to form patterns. Hold on, she said, touching the markings. Look at these, they're not random. Park examined the scratches, almost like they're marking territory but in a very specific way. The warbeasts were here, Han confirmed. But they moved on. These marks are at least 2 days old. When they reached the laboratory, they found it largely intact. Park quickly began gathering the equipment they needed, while Dr. Kim examined her notes. I need to test the compound on a tissue sample, she said. See if my theory is correct. Captain Lee stood guard at the door. Make it quick. We won't be alone for long. Dr. Kim worked with rapid precision, mixing chemicals and running tests on the warbeast tissue samples she had saved. After an hour, she looked up with excitement in her eyes. It works. The compound triggers uncontrolled cellular adaptation. If we can deliver this to the warbeasts, their own biology will destroy them. Just then, Han's radio crackled with a message. From one of the few remaining military outposts. Massive movement. Warbeasts gathering, subway tunnels. Preparing for something big. Captain Lee frowned. The signal's weak, but it sounds like they're massing underground. We need to get this compound to the military right away. As Dr. Kim packed her materials, Park was studying the computer files left in the lab. Dr. Kim, you should see this, he called. Someone was researching the invasion before we got here. Onto the screen were satellite images showing the Braktan ships entering Earth's atmosphere, but also something else. Energy readings from the ships that pulsed in a specific pattern. These pulses match the brainwave patterns I recorded from the captured warbeast, Park said. I think the ships are controlling them somehow, directing their evolution. Dr. Kim's eyes widened. That's it. The ships aren't just transports, they're transmitters, sending signals to the warbeasts, telling them how to adapt. If we disrupt those signals, Captain Lee began, their adaptation process might become unstable on its own, Dr. Kim finished. We need to find a way to interfere with that transmission. As they discussed this new discovery, Han signaled for silence. From somewhere below came the unmistakable sound of warbeasts, not one or two, but many. We need to move, he whispered. Now. They gathered their equipment and headed for the stairwell, but stopped short when they heard growls from below. The warbeasts were coming up the stairs. The roof, Captain Lee ordered. We'll find another way down. They raced upward, the sounds of pursuit growing louder. On the roof they looked out over the devastated city. Braktan ships hovered in the distance, their smooth metallic surfaces reflecting the fires burning below. Look, Park pointed to a nearby building. The University Broadcast Tower. If we can reach it, maybe we can use it to disrupt the signals from the Braktan ships. Captain Lee nodded. It's worth a try. But first we need to lose our hunters. Han studied the gap between buildings. We can make that jump, but it'll be close. Just as they prepared to leap, the roof door burst open. 3 warbeasts emerged, their armor plates glistening in the moonlight. But something was different about these creatures. Their bodies seemed unstable, with plates shifting and reforming continuously. They're still evolving, Dr. Kim whispered, and faster than before. Captain Lee opened fire, drawing the creatures' attention while the others prepared to jump. One by one they leapt across the gap, with Lee following last. The warbeasts roared in frustration, pacing at the edge. Then, to everyone's horror, the creatures began to change again. Their limbs, elongated and membrane-like structures, formed between their front and back legs. They're adapting to follow us, Dr. Kim gasped as the first warbeast leapt into the air, gliding awkwardly but effectively across the gap. From his observation post on the Braktan command ship, Admiral Toll watched the hunt with satisfaction. The cow. Humans think they can outsmart us, he told his officers, but the warbeasts evolve too quickly. Soon there will be nowhere left to hide. He didn't know that on the streets below, Dr. Kim and her team were racing toward the broadcast tower, carrying both a biological weapon and a new understanding of their enemy that might just save humanity from extinction. The broadcast tower loomed ahead, its metal frame silhouetted against the dawn sky. Dr. Kim and her team had spent the night hiding in an abandoned office building, planning their next move. The warbeasts had lost their trail for now, but everyone knew it wouldn't last long. The compound is ready, Dr. Kim said, holding up a small container of pale blue liquid. But we still need a way to deliver it to all the warbeasts at once. Captain Lee studied the tower through his binoculars. If Park's theory is correct, and we can disrupt the signals from the Braktan ships, we might be able to broadcast our own. A signal that carries the compound's formula directly to their adaptive cells, Dr. Kim nodded. It could work. You know the Braktans? Lee asked. They are known throughout this sector of the galaxy, Teller replied. They have conquered 17 systems before yours. None has successfully repelled them, until now. Kim leaned forward. What do they want? Why invade worlds? Resources, primarily. The Braktan Empire constantly expands, stripping planets of valuable minerals and using indigenous species for labor or biological research. And this coalition you represent? Han asked cautiously. We are an alliance of free worlds who believe in peaceful coexistence and mutual protection. We came to offer Earth membership and our technology. Park looked skeptical. Why would you share technology with us? Teller's expression shifted in what might have been a smile. Because you have accomplished what no other world has. You defeated the Bractans with minimal technology, but maximum adaptability. The coalition needs allies like you. Over the following days, Teller shared information about the wider galaxy. Hundreds of intelligent species existed, with various alliances and conflicts between them. The Bractan Empire was one of several expansionist powers, while the coalition represented peaceful cooperation. 1 month after Teller's arrival, Earth's leaders gathered to vote on coalition membership. The decision was unanimous. Earth would join. In a ceremony broadcast worldwide, Teller presented humanity with the coordinates of nearby coalition worlds and technology for faster-than-light communication. In return, Earth shared Dr. Kim's research on countering the Warbeasts' adaptive biology, a defense that could help other worlds. As the ceremony concluded, Dr. Kim stood again on the EDI headquarters balcony, looking at the stars with new understanding. Does it frighten you? Lee asked, joining her. Knowing what's out there? Kim shook her head. No. It reminds me that adaptability is our greatest strength. The Bractans thought humanity would be an easy conquest because we lacked their technology, but we adapted, we survived, and now we have allies. Far away at the Bractan Military Academy, young officers were being taught a new lesson. On the screen before them, images of Earth and its unexpected victory played as their instructor spoke. Remember the failure at Earth, he warned. The humans appeared primitive, but proved dangerously resourceful. Let this be your most important lesson. Never drop mutant warbeasts on a human planet. The end. Han looked skeptical. Can a radio signal really carry a biological compound? Not exactly, Park explained, but the warbeasts receive instructions for adaptation through specific frequencies. If we can mimic those frequencies and encode them, with the compound's molecular structure, their bodies will recreate it internally. They moved toward the tower carefully, staying low and using the rubble for cover. The streets were eerily quiet. No birds sang, no cars moved. Seoul had become a ghost city in just 1 week. At the base of the tower they found the entrance locked. Han pulled out a small explosive charge. Stand back, he warned, before blowing the door open. Inside, they climbed the emergency stairs, their footsteps echoing in the silence. When they reached the broadcast room at the top, Park immediately began working on the equipment. Most of it still works, he said with relief. The Bractans didn't bother destroying communication infrastructure after their initial attack. While Park prepared the broadcast, Captain Lee received a transmission from military headquarters. He listened grimly before turning to the others. The warbeasts are gathering for a final assault. Thousands of them. Military estimates we have less than 3 hours before they overrun the last human strongholds. Dr. Kim worked faster, connecting her testing equipment to the broadcast system. We're almost ready. I just need to convert the compound's molecular structure into a transmittable pattern. Suddenly Han signaled for silence. From below came the sound of claws on metal, warbeasts climbing the tower. They've found us, he whispered. Captain Lee and Han took defensive positions at the stairwell, while Dr. Kim and Park continued working. The sounds grew closer. How much longer? Lee asked tensely. 5 minutes, Park replied. Maybe less. The first warbeast appeared at the top of the stairs, its 3 eyes scanning the room. It was larger than the ones they had encountered before, with heavier armor plates and 6 limbs ending in wicked claws. Lee fired, hitting it squarely in what should have been a vulnerable spot, but the creature barely flinched. They've adapted. To our weapons, he shouted, firing again. Han threw a grenade, the explosion temporarily forcing the creature back. But more were coming. We need a diversion, Lee decided. Something to buy you time. Before anyone could stop him, he grabbed several explosives from Han's pack and ran toward the stairwell. Finish the broadcast, he yelled over his shoulder. I'll hold them off. Han moved to follow, but Lee was already gone, charging down the aim. stares toward the approaching warbeasts. The sounds of gunfire and explosions echoed up the stairwell. "We have to hurry," Dr. Kim said, pushing away her fear for Lee. Park's fingers flew over the keyboard. "It's ready. The signal is set to broadcast on the same frequency the Braktan ships use to control the warbeasts." Dr. Kim connected the final wire. "Broadcasting now." A high-pitched tone filled the room as the signal went out. On the monitor, they could see it spreading across the city, a wave of invisible energy carrying their formula. "Now we wait," Park said softly. For several moments, nothing happened. The sounds of fighting from below continued, though more distant now as Lee led the warbeasts away from the tower. Then Han, watching through the window, pointed excitedly. "Look!" In the streets below, warbeasts were stopping mid-stride. Some began to twitch, others thrashed violently. As they watched, the creatures' armor plates began to shift and change at an accelerated rate, growing and shrinking randomly. "It's working," Dr. Kim whispered. "Their adaptive mechanisms are going haywire." All across the city, warbeasts fell as their bodies betrayed them, evolving too rapidly to maintain stability. Some grew extra limbs that were too heavy to support. Others developed skin so thick they couldn't move. Within minutes, thousands of creatures lay immobile in the streets. From his ship, Admiral Toll watched in horror as his warbeast army collapsed. "What is happening?" he demanded. "The humans," his second-in-command replied shakily. "They've somehow hijacked our control signal." Toll slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible, they are primitives." "Sir," another officer interrupted, "our ground forces are reporting total failure. The warbeasts are dying, and human military units are advancing on our landing zones." Aboard other ships, Braktan commanders were receiving the same reports. One by one they began lifting off, retreating from the planet they had thought would be an easy conquest. At the broadcast tower, Dr. Kim, Park, and Han watched the ships rising into the sky. "They're leaving," Park said in disbelief. Han nodded. "They didn't expect us to fight back so effectively." Dr. Kim thought of Captain Lee and all the others who had sacrificed to make this moment possible. "We should find Lee and tell him we won." As they descended the tower, they found Lee leaning against a wall, wounded but alive. He looked up as they approached. "Did it work?" he asked weakly. Dr. Kim smiled through her tears. "Yes, they're retreating." Lee closed his eyes with relief. "Good, because I really don't want to have to do that again." Above them, the sky was clearing as the last Braktan ships disappeared into space. The battle for Earth was over. The recovery was just beginning. 1 year had passed since the Braktan invasion. Seoul was slowly rebuilding, steel frames of new buildings rising from the rubble of the old city. Dr. Kim stood on the balcony of the newly established Earth Defense Initiative headquarters, watching workers in the distance. "Quite a view," Captain Lee said, joining her. His once immaculate uniform had been replaced by the black and silver of the EDI. A scar ran along his jawline, a permanent reminder of their battle at the broadcast tower. "Hard to believe it's been a year already," Kim replied. "Sometimes it feels like yesterday." Inside the building, technicians and scientists worked on equipment salvaged from Braktan ships. After the invaders' retreat, humans had quickly moved to secure alien technology left behind. Dr. Kim now led a team studying the warbeasts' adaptive biology, while Park headed the communications division, developing early warning systems should the Braktans ever return. Han entered the balcony carrying a tablet. "The President is ready for our briefing," he announced. They moved to the conference room, where world leaders gathered on large screens. Since the invasion, Earth's nations had set aside old rivalries, united by their shared experience. "Dr. Kim," the Secretary General began, "your monthly report, please." Kim stepped forward. "The defensive shield is now operational around major cities. Using modified Braktan technology, we can protect 80% of Earth's population centers. By next month, that number should reach 95%. The leaders nodded with approval. After Kim's presentation, military commanders provided updates on the global defense force that had been established, combining soldiers from all nations. As the meeting concluded, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed throughout the building. Unidentified, Object entering Earth's atmosphere, a voice announced over the speakers. Location, Lee demanded, rushing to the command center with Kim and Han close behind. Pacific Ocean, moving toward Japan, the operator reported. It's slowing down, not matching any known Bractan design. Tension filled the room as they watched. The object's trajectory on the main screen. Earth's newly established defense systems were tracking it, weapons ready. Should we shoot it down? Someone asked. Wait, Kim said, studying the readings. The energy signature is different from the Bractan ships. And look at its approach vector. It's deliberately non-threatening, staying clear of population centers. Lee considered this. Keep weapons locked, but hold fire. Let's see what it does. The object slowed to a hover above the ocean, then broadcast a signal on multiple frequencies. Park, who had joined them, studied the transmission. It's a first contact protocol in multiple Earth languages. They're asking permission to land and establish communication. Silence filled the room as everyone realized what this meant. Another alien species had found Earth. After consultation with world governments, a decision was made. The visitor would be allowed to land at a secure facility in a remote area with heavy military presence. Dr. Kim, Captain Lee, Park, and Han were selected to represent humanity at this historic meeting. They traveled to the landing site, a flat plain surrounded by mountains. As the ship descended, they saw it was smaller than the Bractan vessels, with an elegant, curved design that seemed almost artistic. It touched down silently, and for several minutes nothing happened. Then a doorway appeared in its smooth surface and a figure emerged. The alien stood slightly taller than a human, with blue-tinted skin and 4 arms. Its face was oddly familiar despite its alien features. 2 large eyes, a mouth-like opening, and small sensory organs where ears might be on a human. Greetings, it said in perfect, unaccented Korean, surprising them all. I am Teller, representative of the Coalition of Free Worlds. After initial introductions, Teller explained the purpose of the visit. We have been monitoring your solar system for some time, the alien said as they sat in a hastily prepared meeting room. When we detected Bractan ships entering your atmosphere, we feared the worst. By the time our nearest vessel could respond, the battle was already over.